"You're banned from Thanksgiving until you apologize to your cousin," my mother said on speakerphone. And someone in the background actually laughed. "She can eat leftovers in the garage." What they didn't know was that I had been quietly funding their entire lifestyle for 3 years. What happened when I finally said enough will shock you. My name is Emma, and this is how I discovered that family loyalty is often a one-way street paved with your own money. If you've ever been to the family ATM while being treated like the family disappointment, smash that subscribe button. Like this video if you believe respect should come before financial support. And stick around because this story proves that sometimes the most powerful word in any language is simply no. Let's dive into this tale of boundaries and consequences. I'm Emma Rodriguez. I'm 28 years old, and for the past 3 years, I've been the invisible foundation holding up my family's entire financial structure. I work as a junior financial analyst, the kind of person who can turn chaos into order, late payments into clean credit, and somehow always finds a way to make the numbers work even when they shouldn't. It started innocently enough. When Dad had his heart surgery 2 years ago, insurance covered most of it. But there were still those brutal out-of-pocket expenses that felt like financial landmines. I stepped in because that's what family does, right? You help when someone's drowning. Except once I threw them a life preserver, they decided I was their permanent lifeguard. First, it was just until next month with the family phone plan. Then the internet bill because you're so good with this tech stuff. Emma. Then Dad's prescription copies, Mom's car payment. And somehow my quiet yes became the floor everyone walked on without ever looking down to see who was holding them up. I wasn't rich. I drove a 2015 Honda that made concerning noises when I turned left. Lived in a studio apartment that was basically a fancy closet and ate more ramen than any adult should admit to. But I had something my family seemed to lack: discipline, organization, and the backbone to pay bills on time. What I didn't have was the backbone to say no to them. The irony wasn't lost on me that they'd make jokes about my little contributions, while their mortgage auto pay was literally coming from my account. They'd laugh about my old car, while I was the reason they still had the internet to stream their shows. They'd mock me on the family group chat. Speaking of that group chat, it pinged on Tuesday afternoon like an electronic harbinger of doom. Final head count for Thanksgiving, Mom had typed, followed by a list of names. Scrolling down like a guest roster for a party I'd been unknowingly funding for months. My name wasn't there. I stared at my phone, reading and rereading the list. It's like maybe I'd missed something. It's like maybe there was invisible ink that would reveal my place at the table I'd been subsidizing. I typed back, "Did you forget to include me?" The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before my cousin Marcus finally responded. "Limited seating. Maybe try Christmas if you can behave yourself." If I can behave myself like I was a misbehaving child instead of the adult. It's been quietly preventing their financial collapse for 3 years. I called Mom immediately. The sound that greeted me was like stepping into a party already in full swing. Clinking dishes, background laughter, the warm sounds of family gathering together without me. "You're not invited until you apologize to Marcus for embarrassing him at his promotion dinner," she said, her voice carrying that special brand of maternal disappointment that cuts deeper than any stranger's judgment ever could. "By embarrassing him, you mean asking why he keeps borrowing rent money while bragging about crushing his sales quotas?" I asked, feeling that familiar heat rise in my chest. Uncle Pete's voice boomed from somewhere in the background. "There she goes again. Little Miss Accountant." The nickname stung because it was meant to. In their world, caring about money, even when it was your own money, keeping them afloat, made you petty and small. I swallowed the fire building in my throat and said something that surprised even me. "Fine, but if you want drama, then stop using my debit card for autopay on half your bills." The line went dead quiet, except for what sounded like a door slamming. Then Mom hung up. 10 minutes later, Aunt Carmen texted me, "Don't make this about money. Family comes first." Then she posted a gratitude photo on Facebook. A long table covered in candles and food. Everyone tagged and smiling except for one notable absence. Me, I put my phone face down on my kitchen counter and stared at the wall, feeling the outline of a decision I'd been avoiding all year. The decision to stop being their safety net and start being their equal. Thanksgiving Day arrived like a slap in the face, delivered via social media. My feed exploded with photos of golden turkey, elaborate side dishes and captions like blessed beyond measure and grateful for family. Mom sent me a separate text around 3 p.m. Saved you a plate. Porch pickup available after 6. Porch pickup. Like I was DoorDash instead of her daughter. When I drove by their house later that evening, saw the foil-wrapped plate sitting on the front steps, already going cold in the November air. A neighbor's cat was sniffing around the edges. More interested in my Thanksgiving dinner than my actual family had been, including me. I left it there on purpose. Black Friday morning, I decided to treat myself to coffee and a bagel at the little bakery downtown. A small rebellion against the pity party I felt brewing in my chest. As I stood in line, Aunt Carmen appeared beside me like a materialization of family guilt. "Emma, sweetie," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "She's been going through a tough time lately, very sensitive about success." She turned to the cashier like she was providing necessary context for handling a difficult customer. The woman behind me in line muttered yikes under her breath, and the cashier kept her eyes fixed on the register. Like eye contact might somehow make the situation worse. I walked out without ordering and sat in my car until the fog of my own breath cleared from the windshield. That's when my phone rang. It was Marcus calling, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't been part of orchestrating my exile from the family table. "Hey, can you front me $800 for Ashley's Christmas present? I'll Venmo you back by Monday. I promise." The audacity was breathtaking. He'd helped ban me from Thanksgiving and was now asking for what amounted to a loan that we both knew would never be repaid. "We'd all feel better if you just apologized and stopped being so difficult about everything." He continued when I didn't immediately respond. "You know, family takes care of each other. The family takes care of each other?" The phrase that had become the soundtrack to 3 years of one-sided generosity. I hung up without saying a word and opened my phone's notes app. For the next hour, I typed dates, amounts, and reasons. Dad's surgery, Mom's car payment, the electric bill they'd forgotten twice. The internet that somehow kept getting mysteriously paid. Marcus' rent emergencies, Aunt Carmen's credit card minimum payments. None of it was one-time help, despite their promises that it would be. At the top of the document, I wrote, "What they don't know is about to save me." That evening, Dad called. "Just need a quick $400 for a security deposit before the bank closes Monday," he said. Like I wasn't working full-time, too. Like money just materialized in my account through some sort of financial magic. In his voice, I heard the casual assumption that it made everyone else's life easier while making mine smaller and smaller. I heard 3 years of taking my yes for granted. I turned off my phone notifications and let it buzz itself into exhaustion on my couch. What they didn't know was that I had every receipt, every bank screenshot, every text message saved. Who asked for what? When they asked what I paid, and how they promised they'd handle everything next time. What they didn't know was that I still controlled the family phone plan. Nobody wanted the responsibility of transferring the internet login information. And the auto-pay authorization on Mom and Dad's mortgage that they'd never bothered to learn about. What they didn't know was that my mentor at work, Grace, had told me something that changed everything. Boundaries aren't walls, they're love with a spine. I spent Saturday putting together what I privately called The Reckoning. A simple binder from the office supply store filled with printed bank statements, highlighted transactions, and a cover page that read, "This is what I did for you. And this is what I won't do anymore." Sunday evening, I methodically went through my banking app like I was defusing a bomb, which in a way I was. Cancel mortgage auto pay authorization. Remove saved payment information from the electric company website. Transfer the phone plan to individual prepaid accounts and send everyone their new numbers. All clean, all legal, all mine to control. Monday morning, Marcus posted an Instagram story. A table full of leftover turkey and stuffing, with the caption, "Real family loyalty isn't about money." And I realized the irony was completely lost on him. I muted his account and felt my world get a little quieter. That afternoon, while buying groceries, I overheard Uncle Pete in the next aisle telling someone, "We've got her back in line now. She'll come around once she realizes she needs us more than we need her." I kept walking, paid for my groceries, and put the receipt in my wallet like a small contract with my future self. Wednesday evening, Mom left a voicemail that started sweet and turned bitter. "Since you refuse to apologize, don't bother coming to Christmas either. And spare us the dramatic spreadsheets about money. Nobody wants to hear it." Like my documented generosity was somehow an attack on them instead of evidence of everything I'd quietly given. I listened to the message twice, then deleted it, and sat in my apartment, surrounded by a silence that felt clean instead of lonely. Friday morning, my phone exploded. The mortgage payment bounced. Mom said when I answered, her voice shrill with panic. "The bank is calling about late fees." What happened? I felt something settle deep in my chest like a stone finding the bottom of a clear lake. "I'll be over in an hour," I said, and grabbed my binder. At their kitchen table, with the afternoon light streaming through half-closed blinds and cold coffee growing a skin in forgotten mugs, I placed the binder between us like evidence in a trial they didn't know they were part of. "This stays private," I said, glancing toward the living room where I could hear the TV. "No audience." Dad's face was gray around the edges as he opened to the first page. "We thought Marcus was helping with some of this," he whispered. I turned the binder to face him properly. "Marcus told you that because I was actually paying it," I said. "Here are 3 years of transfers by date from my account to your mortgage company." Mom's hands shook as she flipped through pages of highlighted transactions. Groceries, utilities, insurance payments, phone bills. 3 years of me holding them up while they held me down. "You banned me from Thanksgiving until I apologized," I said quietly. "So I stopped paying for the holiday you celebrated without me, and I'm done funding the family that's ashamed of me." The front door opened and Marcus walked in like he still lived there. He stopped dead when he saw the binder spread across the table. "You're really going to do this to them?" He asked like my boundary was an act of violence instead of an act of self-preservation. I slid a plastic sleeve across the table. His text requests highlighted in yellow. All the "I'll pay you back by Friday" promises that became next week, that became never. His eyes scanned the evidence and his mouth opened without any words coming out. "You can call it betrayal," I said. "I call it a boundary." Dad rubbed his temples. We didn't realize how much he started, then stopped. "No," I said, standing up because sitting made me feel small again. "You didn't want to realize. You wanted me to be your solution without being your equal." I wasn't asking for the money back. I made that clear. Both of them looked surprised, like I'd just removed their last excuse to be angry with me. "I'm just done being your bank," I said, tapping the binder once. "There are instructions in there for setting up your own auto-pay accounts and managing your own bills. You're adults. Act like it." Marcus tried one more time. "You can't just abandon them like this." My laugh came out soft and tired. "I'm not abandoning them. I'm treating them like the capable adults they are, which you also are, by the way." He looked away first. "What about Christmas?" Dad asked, his voice thin and uncertain. "I'll see how I feel," I said, and meant it in a way I'd never allowed myself to mean anything with this family. Walking out into that bright afternoon felt like stepping into a different life. One where my worth wasn't measured by my willingness to be used. For the first time in 3 years, I felt light instead of emptied out. Over the following weeks, the family group chat posted awkward requests for help reorganizing bills with 0 volunteers. Marcus sent a single eye roll emoji and went quiet. Mom texted me a casserole recipe like nothing had happened, and I didn't respond. The silence didn't hurt anymore. It freed me. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop doing what's killing you, even when people call it selfish. Have you ever had to set financial boundaries with family members who took your generosity for granted? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to know they're not alone. If this story reminded you that no is a complete sentence, Hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of people who chose themselves over toxic family dynamic. Remember, boundaries aren't cruelty. They're self-care with a spine.